If you're a small business owner and you want to be more efficient in bulk uploading your pins to Pinterest, or possibly creating a scheduling system using automation, this video might be for you. But before you get too far in this video and realize you've wasted your time because it doesn't work for you, let me explain exactly what I've set up and who it's going to work for. I'm a small business owner and I'm really frustrated with both Canva's and Pinterest's way of bulk uploading pins. And when I say bulk uploading pins, I mean that I upload 10 different designs for one piece of content. If you are wondering why you should be uploading multiple designs for a single piece of content, this is because Pinterest is a visual search engine and not a social media platform. Your pins are going to stay on Pinterest for pretty much forever, and you want to make sure that it's going to appeal to as many people as possible. The trouble I have is that the RSS feed available on Pinterest only does one item at a time. I don't enjoy using the spreadsheet. I use Canva to do my designs, and their scheduling system only allows one page to be edited per design. If you have multiple pages per design and you've scheduled one of them, you can't edit that document. If I'm posting 10 different designs for one piece of content, I have to have 10 different design files in Canva, and that is a nightmare to maintain. If I choose to upload 10 pages of a design at once to Pinterest, I still have to manually paste the title, the description, and the link in for every single page. That's why I decided to create a workflow using automation in make.com. What is involved in this process is once I have finished my designs in Canva, I send them to Google Drive. If you use Photoshop, you can download them locally and upload to Google Drive. That's totally fine. Putting the title, description, and link for the pin in a spreadsheet, so just 3 cells. I then head on over to make.com and manually run the workflow, and they will automatically upload to Pinterest. If you'd like, you can turn the make.com workflow on and you don't even need to hit the button. It will automatically do it for you. I then decided to go one step further with the scheduling, and the second half of the workflow is pretty much the same as the first one, except I have 2 scenarios running in make.com. The first one, instead of going to Pinterest, will post to Airtable. The second scenario is going to take the information from Airtable and then post it to Pinterest. This is because I can set a scheduling system in Airtable that will choose a pin that I've already created from the backlog in an approved status. I can schedule Airtable to run every 15 minutes, once a day, 3 times a day, whatever I like, and it will go to the backlog of pins I've created and choose one that's in an approved status and post it to Pinterest. Google Sheets, Google Drive, and Pinterest is all free to use. Make.com and Airtable are also free, but I do want to call out that if you exceed your thresholds on Make.com, depending on how much you use this, you might need to move into the first paid for tier. If you would like to use the scheduling functionality, you will need at least the first paid for tier in Airtable. If you want to build these workflows and you don't have a Make.com and an Airtable account, you are more than welcome to use my referral and affiliate links. I get a little bit of something out of it, and that really helps me a lot. So if you wanted to do that, those links are available in my profile. And if you are extra lazy like me, the make.com blueprints are available to download from my profile as well. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up step by step though. If this sounds like you and you think this might help you, then stick around because I'm going to now dive into showing you how to set these up. Head on over to Google Drive and create a folder where you can upload your pins. I've called mine Lunchbox for the purpose of this demonstration. Inside this folder, you're going to create another folder for your Pinterest pins. I've just called mine Pinterest pins, and you can see it's empty. You're then going to create a spreadsheet. I've just called mine Pinterest pins. And inside your spreadsheet, you're going to create 3 headers: title, description, and link. And this is going to be the title for your pin, the description for your pin, and the destination link. So when somebody clicks on your pin, where are they going to go? I've just chosen a banana pancake recipe from the BBC. So go ahead and paste some sample text in yours, just for the purpose of getting this up and running. Also, at the bottom of the spreadsheet, I've just changed the title of this tab from Sheet 1 to Pins. You don't have to do that, but just for the purpose of this demonstration, I've changed it so it's easier to understand what we're working with. Once you have this set up, I'm just going to show you the export from Canva. If you head on over to your Pinterest pins folder, go ahead and upload some sample pins here if you don't use Canva. If you're in Canva, here's some sample pins that I've created, and I'm going to share it from here. So just go see all, and you should have a Google Drive option. Connect your account and then just navigate to wherever you've created that folder. I will export mine to JPEG. It's worth noting that Canva only allows you 10 pages per design to export. So if you have more than that, it might be better to download locally and then import directly to Google Drive. So now that that's done, I'm going to head on over to Google Drive and confirm that my pins have been exported here. We're now ready to start building out our workflow. So head on over to make.com. Once you're in make.com, on the top right, you're going to click Create New Scenario. And you're going to select Build from Scratch. The first thing we want to do is build a connection so that make.com can talk to Google Drive. So you're going to select the Google Drive module. If you can't see it, you can use the search bar at the bottom and just type in Google Drive, and it should come up. And you're going to select Watch Files in a folder. Go ahead and connect your Google account. Once you've done that, you're going to head down to select the folder to be watched. And you're going to navigate to the folder that you've uploaded your Pinterest pins to. The next thing you want to change is the limit. It's only going to process 2. I have more than that, so I'm just going to change mine to 20. And we're going to click OK. We now need to test our connection to Google Drive. I'm going to say choose manually. If you've clicked out and this has disappeared, you can just right click on this module and it should bring up this window. I'm just going to select the first one here, pin number 8, and say OK. I'm then going to click Run Once at the bottom, and it's confirmed that it has made a connection with Google Drive and it's pulling information out. I'm going to close this, and the next thing I want to add is another module, and you're going to search for Iterator. And what this is going to do is when this tries to pull a file from Google Drive, it's only going to pull one file, but I want it to pull more than one. So the iterator is going to go back to the folder and pull the second file once it's finished processing the first one. And once it's finished processing the second one, it will go back and grab the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and so on until there are no more files to process. In the array field, once you click in, it should bring up this box, and you're just going to select File ID and click OK. Again, let's test this. Right click on Google Drive, choose where to start, choose manually. I'm going to select the first one, click OK, and then run once in the bottom. Ignore this error message and say run anyway. And it's now confirmed that it can pull in some information, which is great. I now want to grab the URL of the image from Google Drive. So we've made the connection, it's going to pull the files, but I want to get specifically the link directly to the image. So I'm going to add another Google Drive module, and you're going to choose the Get a Share Link option. Your Google account should be connected, but just make sure you're choosing the right one. You want to select in the file ID field. You're going to click inside and just choose the file ID option over here. We're then going to change type from user to anyone. This will remove any restrictions in Google Drive so that make.com can grab the information that we need. We'll select OK. Again, we're just going to test it and make sure this is working. So right click, choose where to start, choose manually, and we'll select the first one, click OK and run once. And that's exactly what we need. Unfortunately, the Pinterest module doesn't like the format in which the image is presented from Google. So we just need to translate this in a way that the Pinterest module is going to understand it. You're going to add another module and you're going to look for tools. And you're going to look for compose a string. And inside this text field, once you click, you're going to type in this URL. You might need to pause the video to type it in, so go ahead and pause if you need to do that and come back. Once you've done that, you should have this message, this window that has popped up. If not, you can just click out and click in again, and you want to select the yellow file ID from Google Drive. Click OK. And let's just quickly test this. So right click on the very first Google module, choose where to start, choose manually. I'm going to select the first pin and run once. Ignore the error message and click run again. And that's exactly what we want. It's given us a nice plain text link to the image. Now that we've sorted out the images, we need to pull the information from the Google spreadsheet. So we're going to add a new module for Google Sheets. And we are looking for get range values. You're going to go ahead and connect your Google Sheets account. And from the spreadsheet ID field, you're going to just choose the location of wherever you've stored that, hopefully in the same folder as your pins. Now I've called mine the same, but if you've done the same thing as me and named it the same way as me, you want to just double check the icon and make sure you're selecting the Google Sheet and not the Pinterest pins folder. From the sheet name, mine is called pins. If you didn't change yours might be something like sheet 1. In the range field, you want to select A2:C2, just to confirm it is A1 to C2. That's the information we want. You're then going to select table contains headers, yes. And the row headers are going to be A1 to C1. So just to confirm, it is A1 all the way to C1. You're then going to click OK. And of course, I'm going to save it at the bottom here. And let's test it. So on the very first Google Drive module, right click, choose where to start, choose manually, select the first pin, click OK, and run once. And if I click up here, I can see it's pulling in the banana pancakes, the description, the link, and so on. So we've made a connection with Google Drive and as well with Google Sheets. So now we are ready to publish to Pinterest. We're going to add the Pinterest module and we're going to say create a pin. Go ahead and connect your Pinterest account. For the source type, we're going to choose image URL. And for the image URL, you're going to select the purple tools text option. For the board, I'm sending it to automation pins. It's the only board that I have. Now you have to select a board. I choose to send all my pins to a board called all pins. and I usually will repin to multiple other boards later on. If you want to try get fancy and automate your boards from your spreadsheet, you'll need to put the code of the board, which is difficult to get, but if you toggle this map button, this is how you can pull it out and put it in your spreadsheet if you want to do it that way. But to keep it simple for this demonstration, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to select automation pins. For the title, I'm going to select that title from the Google Sheet. And because we've named it and given it headers, this is going to be nice and simple and easy to find. Description, we're going to add in and the link as well. Of course, if you've got notes and alternative text, just make sure you've got those columns in your spreadsheet so that they pull through here. But we're not using it for this demonstration. Click OK, and let's test it out. So if I just look on Pinterest, you'll see I'm just going to refresh here. There's absolutely no pins on my board. And then we're just going to test one pin, so don't forget to save. And then right click, choose where to start, choose manually. Just going to select one pin to test it out and run once. So far so good. And that looks like it was successful. So let's go to Pinterest. We'll refresh here. And you will see there is our pin. And if I click on it, you will see it's got the title and the description that I gave it. Once you've tested this with one pin and it's working, you can then start to bulk upload your pins. You can turn this automation on by clicking this toggle at the bottom. It will ask you when you want it to run. If you are doing one batch a day, you can just leave it to set to run every 15 minutes or once a day, like once a day here. So every day at a certain time. Then that way you can just come in the morning, update your spreadsheet, update your pins and forget about it. And then whenever this runs at its scheduled time, it will just grab those files and the information from the spreadsheet and stick it on Pinterest. So that is really the end of the first part of the workflow. If you want to do the second part of the workflow, which is the Airtable part, I'm going to show you how to do that now. This workflow essentially will follow this same workflow, but instead of going to Pinterest, it's going to go to Airtable, and you can run multiple batches at a time. So if you want to bulk upload, but you don't necessarily want to upload all of them in one go, you want to trickle them a few out every day, this might be a better option for you. What we're going to do is we're going to remove Pinterest because we want to send it to Airtable instead. Now, before we connect Airtable, we need to first set up our table. So head on over to Airtable and log into your account. Once you're here, you're going to create a new base from scratch. First thing we're going to do is change the name of the base. I'm going to call mine Pinterest Uploads. And then I'm going to change the name of this table to Pins. I'm going to change the grid view here to view all, and it will make sense why I'm doing this later on. The first column I'm going to change to pin ID, and I'm going to change this from a single line text to an auto number, so we have a unique ID for each of our pins. I'm going to change notes to description. I'm going to delete assignee because I don't need it, but if you wanted to assign it to people to approve first, you can leave this in, but I'm going to delete it. The status, I want to change these to review. So once the pin comes into Airtable, I want it to be in a review status so I can check it first. I then want to change it to an approved status, which means the automation knows which one to choose, because it's only going to select from approved posts. I'm then going to add a published option. And this is because once the pin has been published to Pinterest, I want to change the status to published so that it doesn't duplicate a pin, because remember, it will choose from approved pins. It doesn't know which one it's posted before, so we need to tell it to not choose ones it's already posted. Once you've done that, you can click Save. I'm going to add another single line text for the title of the pin. It's a single line text, which I will just move to the front. We have description. We need a link field for single line text. And we also need one for the image URL as a single line text. Just going to move status to the end, keep it nice and tidy. I'm also going to add a created date, just so that I know when, oh, my face is in the way, when this was created, and then any modifications made to this. I want to just be able to change that. Okay. Now let's see if we can import our pins into here. I'm just going to delete these first 3 sample rows because we don't need it. Head on over to make.com and add in an Airtable module. We're then going to select Create a Record. Go ahead and connect your Airtable account. I have to change mine because I have 2. And the base I've called Pinterest Uploads. And the table is called Pins. And it now should pull in all of the columns that we've created. Now let's map the items in our spreadsheet. So the title, we want to choose title, description is description, link is link. The image URL is the purple tools text. And then for status, we want everything to come in as a review status. So I'm going to click this map toggle and it should change to a drop down and we're going to select review. So let's click OK. And don't forget to save it. So let's run this once. So we're going to say choose where to start, choose manually. I'll just choose pin number 8, run once. And we should now have an item in our Airtable in review status. So this is exactly what I was expecting. So this is perfect. Let's go back and do the rest of our pins. So I'm just going to say choose where to start, choose all, okay, run once. So this should now bulk upload all of our pins. You can see the numbers incrementing, which is exactly what I would expect. And we'll just wait for that to finish. And we're going to head on over back to Airtable. And here's a list of all of our pins in review status, which is perfect. Now we're going to add the automation and connect Airtable back to make.com. From make.com, you're now going to create a brand new scenario. So don't forget to save this. In this section here, you can rename it. So I'm just going to call this Lunchbox Workflow 1. So we know what it's called. So you're going to head on over back to scenarios. Just save that and create a new scenario from scratch. This time we want to select the webhook option. So select that and choose custom webhook. Now you're going to connect a webhook here and add a new one. I already have one, so I'm just going to use the same one I've used before, but if you don't, you're just going to add a new one in and you can call it whatever you like. We're going to leave this for a moment and go back to Airtable. At the top of your screen next to the data, you should see an Automations tab. Click into Automations and you're going to add your first trigger. We're going to select at a scheduled time. And for the purpose of this, I'm just going to select every 15 minutes and test trigger. This should pass no problem. We're then going to add a new step called find records. We then wanted to go only pull pins from the pin table and to search where the condition of the pin is where the status column has been set to approved. So remember, we don't want it to publish pins that haven't been approved yet. So let's test this out. It should tell me there are no pins, which is correct because they're all in review status at the moment. So we're going to go back to the data and let's change 2 of them to approved. We'll go back to automations and let's test this action again. And I get 2 records, which is correct. So we can close this. We're going to add one more step here, which is going to be the run script option. This is what you'll need the paid for subscription for. In this code area, you're going to delete everything that's there and type in this code. You might want to pause the video to type this in and come back when you're done. If you don't want to type it in, my blueprints are available to download. It has the code in that you can just copy and paste. Once you finish typing this in, on the left-hand side, you're going to say add input variable, and you're going to type pin in lowercase and ID in caps, no spaces. If it's not typed in exactly like this, it won't work. In the value field, we're going to click this blue plus, find records, and scroll down to Airtable record. We are going to be jumping backwards and forwards a little bit between Airtable and make.com, so just bear with for this. Go back to make.com. From your webhook, remember this copy address to clipboard button, so we're going to select that, copy this address, go back to Airtable, and in row 7, in between these quotes, and it must be between these quotes, otherwise it will not work, you're going to paste that address. You're then going to go back to make.com, click OK, and we're going to say run once. We're then going to go back here to Airtable and we're going to click test. So it's ran successfully, which is perfect. We're then going to go back to make.com and we'll see that it has run successfully. Perfect. We now have make.com talking to Airtable. We now want to start pulling the information out of Airtable. So of course, we're going to add an Airtable module and we want to say get a record. Go ahead and connect your Airtable account, and I need to change mine. Select your base. Select your table. And then you're going to select the record ID you got from the webhook. So we're going to say OK. We're then going to say run once and test it out. So we're going to go back over to Airtable and run this test again. And then we're going to come back here so that we now have a record in Airtable so we can see it's pulled out the information, which is perfect. We're now ready to post this to Pinterest. So of course we're going to add the Pinterest module, create a pin, connect your Pinterest account. The source type is going to be image URL. The image URL is going to be the image URL. The board is going to be automation pins for me or whatever it is for you that you've chosen. Title will be title, description, description, and the link is going to be link. And then we're going to say OK. Of course, we're just going to test it again. We're going to say run once, run test, which is successful. And we can see, hopefully now we have another pin on Pinterest, which we do, which is perfect. But remember, what we want to do is once it is posted to Pinterest, we want to change the status to published. So we're going to add one last step here in Airtable, which is update a record. Just make sure you've selected the right account, select your base, select the table. And the only thing, we need to just add the record ID, which you're going to get from the webhook at the bottom. And then we're going to toggle this status, this map option for status, and we're going to change it to published. So once that is sent to Pinterest, it's now going to update the record. So let's save this. And what we're going to do is go back. We're finished here. So let's move me there. I'm going to go back to data, and you can see we have 2 approved, but of course we didn't change the status to published because we didn't have that option yet. So what we want to do is we're going to add a few more views here. So we're going to add a new grid view, and this one is going to be publish. So any that are ready to be published. We're going to add another view. I think let's call it review. Actually, we don't have one of those. Let me just fix my typo here. I'm going to move that one up. Add grid, and that is going to be published. Now, for the published, click on the published view. You're going to click filter, add a condition so that when the status column is published, it's going to show me only those here. The ones that are approved, the filter, add condition where status is approved, so ready to be published. And then review, filter, add condition where the status is review. So this is going to show me all the pins. This is going to show me the ones that are marked as review, the ones that are approved, and the ones that are published. So obviously we're not seeing published because we only added the step later on, so it hasn't come back to update this pin. So let's just change a few of these to approved. We can actually change, well, let's leave some of them. Okay, back to automations. Now you can choose how often you want this script to run. You can just leave it at every 15 minutes if you want. If you want to post 3 times a day, then you can set this to hours. Every 8 hours is 3 times a day. I'm just going to leave it on 15 minutes for this demo. Okay, so let's test and see if our whole workflow works. All right, you might notice I look a little bit different because I had to re-record this last section because my sound is dodgy. But just to recap, we have our make.com workflow set up. We have our table set up with our code in, and I've also just removed all the pins on my Pinterest board so we can see them in action. So let's test this end to end now. From make.com, we're going to say run once. I'm going to say wait for new data. While that's running, I'm going to head on over here and test the script again. And that should hopefully run successfully for you as well. And then you will see here, it has processed the first entry. So I'm going to go back to my data table here, and you'll see that it is published the first pin because we only want to publish one at a time. And we can now see if we switch between these views, we can see the published pins, the ones for approval, and so on. And then I'm just going to head on over to Pinterest and refresh this. And there is my pin. So we know that the process is working end to end now. All you need to do is head on over to Airtable. Make sure you turn on the automation and just double check you've got it to set the way that you want it here. And then you'll need to go into make.com and just make sure you turn on this workflow as well. So I'm just going to say okay. And then of course you need to head back to your scenarios and make sure that your first workflow that you set up is also set to run. So you'll need to make sure 2 make.com workflows are activated and turned on and running. And also the automation in Airtable is up and running. Your end-to-end process here is when you're ready to upload the next 10, to add your information to the Google spreadsheet, upload your images, and pretty much that's all you need to do in order for it to run. Grab all that information and put it into Airtable, and it will just pick from there every day, every 15 minutes, whatever you've set it to, and upload that to Pinterest. Otherwise, that is it. That is all you need to do for the workflows. I hope this is going to help you out in some way. If it did, I'd love to know. If you want me to try automate something else for you, let me know and I'll give it a go. If you struggle with anything, let me know in the comments and I'm happy to try help you out as best I can. Other than that, enjoy your automation. Bye.